Welcome to another DuckTales 2017 review. I'm John Berry, and today we're reviewing the 20th episode of the second season, The Golden Armory of Cornelius Coot. So the episode basically is very much I would consider a Webby episode and a Della episode as well. So I think the focus mainly is on Webby. But if Della wasn't in the episode, it probably wouldn't make any sense at all. So, basically the premise is that Webby is jealous of Della because Della has done so much and Webby wants to essentially have done as much, and she wants to accomplish that something Della hasn't. Basically, she feels like she's living in the shadow of Della Duck now that Della Duck has returned. And, kind of taking the role of basically the girl and the boy, the triplets' life, we can do pretty much anything, that kind of idea. Though, again, Della and Webby, very different characters as well, but the idea of, living in somebody's shadow and feeling left out because of they're in the scene now, that's essentially what plays out. The episode also, if you remember from a while back, like the episode after Della's return, so the first really Della-specific episode on Earth, kind of introduced that there was probably going to be some conflict between Della and Launchpad because they were both paths. One's a competent path and one's competent at crashing. And so that was alluded to in the previous episode. In this episode, it plays out and is resolved, which actually kind of surprised me. I expected it to be, you had one episode of conflict and another episode for it to be resolved in, but it is resolved in this episode very much, and it's actually resolved in a neat way. Like, Della realizes that, maybe she was being too hard on Launchpad, because, he's the pilot, he became the pilot after she got stranded on the moon, and he's used to his own way of doing things as such. And so that kind of plays out. There's a nice harmony between all that stuff. And, despite Launchpad maybe not being the word I'm looking for is the best and most competent pad, there's still some things he does which is smart. Like, he knows, for the smoke machine, to clog it just a little bit so too much smoke doesn't escape. And a few other, neat stuff that, when you realize, yeah, he does know some things. And some of his things actually work. It's just, other things he's not as skilled at. We also get to some stuff about Youngberg history, which is actually really neat. I'm a history major myself, so I really love history, and a part of history a lot of people, I think, ignore. A lot of people just think history is just a series of facts, essentially a time, in 1776, America declared independence. 1960, the Civil War began. Actually, more like 61, because the election was in 60, but right around that time, Pearl Harbor, a day which will live in infamy, December 7th, 1941. 9/11, of course, is 9/11. You got all these dates. Many people just think of history as a series of dates, and it's boring facts. Well, as a history person, that's false, because there's so much interesting history. And here we got actually touch on something which is actually quite interesting. In history, there's this thing called historiography, which is basically the history of history, or perhaps also sometimes better referred to as the history of historical writing. It basically boils down to the way the past interpreted the past. So think of how the 1960s and present day have very different interpretations of the Reconstruction period among a certain ethnic group that has typically dominated American society and culture and politics and economics and all that. Things are changing in history for we're realizing new things, and some things it's because we get new evidence. Rome and Greece, especially ancient Greece, I'm taking a course about those two societies this semester actually, and we don't know a lot because we don't have many, contemporary accounts from that time, but we do have things like art, architecture, pottery that we can look at. The archaeology. What Indiana Jones does, but more professionally done. And so basically the idea that you find new evidence of something, you can update your history. And we actually do see this in this episode, which as a history person, I really love seeing that. Yeah, sometimes our interpretations of history is not always correct. Sometimes it's because there's a lack of evidence. We only have, hearsay, speculation, the legends, if you will. You'll get that a lot of early frontier events, and very long ago events from ancient history. We don't have that much solid evidence until we discover new evidence, whether that be we unearth a piece of pottery that maybe gives a better picture of what it was like. But also, we gotta be careful with all, because there's always interpretation as well. But sometimes we might be lucky in, we uncover an actual document. Or we uncover something, maybe an example of the armor an ancient society once wore. And here we actually do see that play out. But, of course, you get a typical cartoon twist on it. Popcorn! Seriously, popcorn. So, there's this legend in the history/legend of Cornelius Coot. And basically what he did in the past is he basically defended Fort Duckburg from the bigger boys' ancestors. And of course the legend is essentially, he was everywhere and anywhere and all that, and with just a single pistol he managed to drive them off. That's the legend in the show. And Huey, Dewey, Louie, and Webby go on an adventure on Webby's request because, she wants to do something like Della didn't. And they actually uncover what it was. Popcorn. He basically, because he was basically a farmer, and so he stored his popcorn, lit some candles and had it all pop into popcorn, and to make it sound like there was a bigger army than there actually was, and boom, he wins the battle. And because of what Huey, Dewey, Louie, Webby, and Della, because she gets in the story at some point, and she and Webby she helps Webby, realize that, she doesn't necessarily have to live up to Della in certain ways, she's her own person, that kind of stuff. I'm trying to remember exactly how they did, but it was very nice in doing that, Della realized that maybe she was being a bit too harsh on Launchpad. And in fairness, she was being a bit harsh, because despite crashing a lot, somehow Launchpad does manage to actually fly successfully as well, which is actually quite impressive for someone who's so competent at crashing. But yeah, so at the end of the episode, what we get is essentially they've updated the history at the probably recreated Fort Duckburg. They've redone it. They remodeled the statue. So instead he's holding a pistol and something else, he's holding 2 ears of corn. The statue of Cornelius Coot. Forgot to mention there was one of those, because they started out visiting that fort for a special occasion, I guess there was. And then they've updated the souvenirs and all that to better reflect the actual history that they've discovered new evidence for, so they're able to update it. Which, as a history buff, as I said many times earlier, is exciting to see that when new evidence is uncovered, we can update our histories to make it more accurate. Now, we can go into a whole nother argument about history and representing history accurately. And you know what? While I would love to have that discussion, this is a discussion on the DuckTales episode, not actual current events. So if you want to discuss that, maybe I'll make a video for it on my other channel. But yeah, this idea of updating history in the face of new evidence is such a good thing to see done and shown in a TV show, because history is not just a list of facts, as I said earlier. It's always evolving based off of new evidence as uncovered by historians, whether that be through gathering new first-person accounts, or just looking at maybe the existing primary sources in a different light, from a different perspective. Or it's even actual archaeology, and you're uncovering new artifacts that will reveal something about the past. And last thing, we get a brief mention of the non-Duck/McDuck side of the family. I'm not sure where it comes from. I'm thinking because Webby mentions that Della wanted to explore the non-Duck/McDuck side of the family. And if I remember from the first episode, Donald, Della, Huey, and Dewey, Louie are all connected to the McDuck family by, I think it was Donald and Della's mother, something like that, like is related to Scrooge's sister. It's complicated, but I'm thinking it's I'm thinking it comes from Donna and Della's father's side of the family is what I'm guessing. And yes, I know it's dark, and like, it's complicated, we don't know all the information, but it's touched on and mentioned. So the non-McDuck side of the family did do stuff as well, is essentially what this episode's saying. The family tree is complex and not fully revealed, so maybe we'll find out more about it in the future. But overall, this was an enjoyable episode. I really loved them touching on the history. Oh, and this one line from here which says, historical accuracy. Because Dewey said adventure, Louis said treasure, and then Huey said, and historical accuracy, which I just loved, because I do love historical accuracy. So give me some good speculative fiction about history, and that's pretty good as well. But yeah, history is just neat, and being historically accurate is important, because it helps us understand our world better, and as this episode shows, sometimes you can't be historically accurate till you find new evidence. But that's all I have for you today. If you enjoyed this review, please leave a like. And as all the YouTubers ask, please subscribe and ring the bell so you can be notified. Support me on Patreon, join my Discord, and follow me on the socials. So thank you for watching, and as always, have a good day, a good night, wherever you are. May the Force be with you, always.